Hey, tonight we're diving into a side of history that doesn't get the blockbuster movie treatment. A story not of grand battles or heroic charges, but of quiet, grinding endurance. We're going to explore what it was truly like to be a prisoner of war during the great conflicts of the mid-20th century, and why the daily reality was a unique and profound form of misery. If you find these deep dives into the past a good way to unwind, I'd be so grateful if you took a moment to hit the like button or even subscribe. It truly helps this small channel grow and find other history lovers like you. I'm always fascinated to see where this story is reaching, so please drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is in your corner of the world. It's amazing to see our global community come together through these shared journeys into the past. So now, find a comfortable spot, dim the lights, perhaps let the sound of a fan create a gentle, steady hum in the background, and let's drift back in time together. We're not just going to learn about this experience, we're going to try to understand the sheer, soul-crushing weight of it. A weight built not from grand tragedies, but from a million tiny, relentless hardships. Congratulations! Your war is over. But a new, quieter, and perhaps more insidious struggle has just begun. You've been captured. The first sensation isn't fear, not yet, that comes later. The first sensation is a profound and disorienting confusion. One moment you are a soldier, part of a unit, with a purpose and a weapon in your hand. The next, you are simply a man with his hands in the air, your weapon gone, your identity as a fighter stripped away in an instant. The world shrinks with breathtaking speed, from a wide, chaotic battlefield to the small, threatening circle of your captors. There are shouts in a language you don't understand, the harsh, guttural sounds adding to the sense of alienation. You are pushed and prodded, not with overt cruelty, but with an indifferent efficiency that is somehow worse. You become an object to be processed. The journey to your new home begins. And it is the first true test of this new existence. You are crammed into a cattle car on a train, the doors sliding shut with a deafening boom that seals you in darkness. The air immediately becomes thick and suffocating, filled with the smell of sweat, fear, and unwashed bodies. There are too many men in too small a space. You can't sit, you can't lie down. You can only stand, pressed tightly against strangers. Swaying with the lurch and rattle of the train, hours bleed into days. There is no concept of time in the darkness, only the rhythmic clatter of the wheels on the track, a sound that will etch itself into your memory. There is no food, there is no water. The sanitation is a bucket in the corner, a source of profound humiliation and a rapidly growing stench that permeates everything. This journey is a deliberate tool of your captors, designed to break you down, to erase the man you were, and deliver a compliant, exhausted prisoner to the camp. When the doors finally grind open, the sudden blast of light is physically painful. You stumble out, blinking, disoriented, your legs weak and trembling. And then you see it. The camp. It is not what you imagined. There are no dramatic watchtowers from the movies. Just a sprawling, desolate expanse of mud and crudely constructed wooden barracks, all enclosed by an endless fence of barbed wire. The wire is the first and last thing you truly see. It is the defining feature of this new world. A stark, jagged line drawn between you and everything you've ever known. Home, family, freedom, the processing begins. You are forced to line up, standing for what feels like an eternity in the cold or the rain or the baking sun. Any remaining personal possessions are taken from you. A family photograph, a lucky charm, a watch, a letter from a loved one tucked into a pocket. They are all confiscated, tossed into a pile with careless disdain. Each item taken is a small death, a severing of another thread that connects you to your life before. Then comes the ultimate act of erasure. Your name is taken. You are no longer John, or Michael, or James. You are a number. A number is shouted at you, and you are expected to remember it, to respond to it, for it is now your only designation. This is a crucial psychological blow. A name carries your history, your personality, your humanity. A number is anonymous, interchangeable. It makes you a statistic, a piece of inventory. You are given your camp uniform, a coarse, ill-fitting garment made of rough, scratchy material. It is often thin and worn, offering little protection from the elements, and it is usually infested with lice from its previous owner. And with this final transformation, the process is complete. You are now officially a prisoner of war, a numbered object in a system designed to contain and control you. You are led to your new home, a long, low building called a barrack. Inside, the site is one of ordered misery. Rows of triple-tiered wooden bunks line the walls, so close together that there is barely room to walk between them. Your bunk is a set of hard wooden planks, perhaps with a thin, lumpy mattress filled with straw or wood shavings. The straw is invariably damp and crawling with fleas and other vermin. This small, hard space is your entire world now. It is where you will sleep, where you will try to find a moment of private thought, and where you will lie awake at night, staring into the darkness. There is no privacy. You live, eat, and sleep surrounded by hundreds of other men. You hear every cough, every sigh, every whispered word, every cry in the night. The smell in the barrack is overwhelming, a thick, cloying mixture of unwashed bodies, damp clothing, stale air, and the faint, ever-present odor of sickness and despair. Your life now revolves around a brutally simple and unchanging routine. The day begins before dawn with a piercing whistle or a clanging bell. You are forced out of your bunk into the cold, pre-dawn darkness. The first order of business is appel, or roll call. This is a ritual that will dominate your existence. You must stand in formation on the parade ground, regardless of the weather. In the freezing rain of winter, in the biting wind, in the sweltering heat of summer, you stand. For hours. The guards are meticulous and often deliberately slow. They count you, they recount you. Any discrepancy, any man missing or slow to form up, results in punishment for everyone, often in the form of even longer hours standing in formation or the withholding of the morning's meager meal. The purpose of the roll call is not just to count heads. It is an exercise in power and humiliation. It reminds you, twice a day, every day, that your time is not your own, that your body is not your own. You are completely at the mercy of your captor's whims. After the morning roll call comes breakfast. The word breakfast is a generous term for what you receive. It is typically a small cup of what is called coffee, but is in reality a bitter, brown liquid made from roasted acorns or barley, with no sugar and no milk. Accompanying this might be a single small piece of black bread. The bread is the cornerstone of the camp diet and the object of constant thought and obsession. It is dense, sour, and often stale, sometimes with sawdust mixed in to make the flour go further. But it is calories, it is sustenance. You learn to eat it with excruciating slowness, making each crumb last as long as possible, savoring the texture and the meager flavor. It is the most precious commodity in the camp. The hours between breakfast and the evening meal stretch out into a vast desert of time. For some prisoners, there is forced labor. You might be sent to work in a nearby factory, a quarry, or a mine. The work is grueling, mind-numbing, and dangerous. The tools are primitive, the safety precautions non-existent. The guards push you to work harder, faster, with the constant threat of punishment for slowing down. You work until your muscles scream and your hands are raw, all for the benefit of the very people who hold you captive. The physical exhaustion is immense, but in a strange way, the labor can be a small blessing. It fills the empty hours. It gives you something to focus on other than the gnawing hunger and the crushing despair. For many other prisoners, however, there is no work. There is only boredom. A profound, soul-destroying boredom that is almost a physical presence. You are confined to the barrack or a small, muddy yard. There is nothing to do, nothing to read, nothing to occupy your mind. The days are a featureless landscape of sameness. You sit on your bunk. You lie on your bunk. You pace the small space between the bunks. You stare at the barbed wire fence. The minutes crawl by with agonizing slowness. An hour feels like a day. A day feels like a week. You try to find ways to fight the mental atrophy. You play games with pebbles. You tell stories to each other, recounting every detail of your lives back home, every movie you ever saw, every book you ever read. Men who were professors or teachers hold clandestine classes, teaching languages or mathematics, scratching lessons in the dirt with a stick. Men who were chefs or bakers spend hours reciting recipes from memory, describing lavish feasts in minute, torturous detail, a form of self-inflicted torment that is also a strange comfort. This sharing of knowledge, this desperate attempt to keep the mind alive, is a vital form of resistance. It is a way of saying, I am still a person. I am still a thinking, feeling human being. The central overriding obsession of every prisoner is food. Hunger is your constant companion. It is a physical ache in your belly, a weakness in your limbs, a fog in your brain. You think about food constantly. You dream about it. The evening meal is the focal point of the entire day. Like breakfast, it is a meager affair. The main course is usually a ladleful of thin, watery soup. It might be a turnip soup, a potato soup, or a cabbage soup. The vegetables are often boiled for so long that they lose all texture and flavor, leaving only a grayish, unappetizing broth. Sometimes you might find a single, tiny piece of meat or gristle floating in your bowl, a discovery that is cause for a moment of fleeting, intense joy. This soup, along with another small piece of the hard black bread, is your dinner. The daily calorie intake is catastrophically low, far below what a human body needs to function properly. You are in a state of perpetual, slow starvation. The effects are devastating. You lose weight dramatically. Your muscles waste away. Your face becomes gaunt, your eyes sunken, the slightest exertion leaves you breathless. Small cuts and sores that would normally heal in a day become infected and refuse to close. Your body, deprived of essential vitamins and nutrients, begins to break down. Men suffer from scurvy, pellagra, and a host of other malnutrition-related diseases. Your world shrinks to the primal need for sustenance. You learn to guard your bread ration with your life. A stolen crust of bread could lead to a violent confrontation. The unwritten rule of the camp is that you never, ever steal another man's food. It is the ultimate betrayal. Bartering becomes a complex and essential part of life. A man who doesn't smoke might trade his cigarette ration for another man's sliver of bread. A skill, like being able to mend a torn shirt, could earn you an extra spoonful of soup. These small transactions are a way to exercise a tiny amount of control over your own survival. A flicker of agency in a world where you have none. The living conditions are a constant assault on your health and dignity. Sanitation is rudimentary at best. The latrines are often just open pits or overflowing buckets, a source of horrific smells and a breeding ground for disease. Washing facilities are a luxury. A single cold water tap might serve an entire compound of 1,000 men. You go for weeks, even months, without a proper wash. Your body is constantly dirty, your clothes stiff with grime. This lack of hygiene leads to inevitable consequences. Lice are a universal plague. They live in your clothes, in your mattress, in your hair. They are a source of constant itching and discomfort, a relentless crawling reminder of your degraded state. You spend hours picking them off your seams, a futile but necessary ritual. The lice also carry diseases, like trench fever, which sweeps through the camps, leaving men with high fevers and debilitating body aches. Dysentery is another constant threat, a disease that spreads like wildfire in the unsanitary conditions. It weakens you, dehydrates you, and can be fatal in your already malnourished state. The barracks themselves offer little shelter from the elements. The wooden planks have gaps in them, allowing the wind to whistle through. In winter, the cold is a physical enemy. It seeps into your bones and never leaves. There is no heating. You shiver constantly, huddled under your one thin blanket, wearing every piece of clothing you own. Frostbite is a common danger. In summer, the barracks become stifling ovens, the air thick and unbreathable, the nights offering no relief from the oppressive heat. The mud is another constant presence. The camp is an unpaved enclosure, and with rain or snow, it turns into a vast sea of thick, clinging mud. It gets into everything. On your boots, on your clothes, on the floor of the barrack. It is another layer of filth and misery that you have to endure every single day. The psychological toll of this existence is just as severe as the physical one. The complete lack of control over your own life is crushing. You are told when to wake up, when to sleep, when to eat, when to stand. Your life is governed by bells and whistles and the shouts of guards. This infantilization wears you down, chipping away at your sense of self-worth. Hope is a dangerous and precious commodity. In the beginning, you might be optimistic. You tell yourself the war will be over soon, that you'll be home by Christmas. But as the months turn into years, that hope begins to fade, replaced by a dull, persistent despair. The lack of information from the outside world is a form of torture. You are in a vacuum, desperate for any news of the war, any news from home. Letters from family are rare and heavily censored. An entire letter might be blacked out, leaving only "Dear John" and "Love, Mom." A letter that does get through is read and reread until the paper disintegrates. A sacred link to a world that feels increasingly distant and unreal. The uncertainty is a constant weight on your mind. You don't know if your family is safe. You don't know if they think you are alive or dead. You don't know if this captivity will last for another week, another year, or the rest of your life. This not knowing can be more difficult to bear than any physical hardship. To survive, you have to find ways to cope, to build a mental fortress against the despair. Friendship becomes a lifeline. You form close bonds with the men in your bunk, in your barrack. You share your food, your stories, your hopes, your fears. You look out for each other. A man who is sick will be helped by his comrades. A man who is losing hope will be talked to, encouraged, reminded that he is not alone. This camaraderie is the glue that holds you together. Humor, dark and cynical as it may be, is another essential survival tool. You make jokes about the guards, about the terrible food, about your own miserable condition. Laughter, in a place where there is so little to laugh about, is an act of defiance. It is a way of proving that your spirit has not been completely broken. The dream of escape is always there, a flickering candle in the darkness. Men form escape committees, meticulously planning ways to get through the wire, to dig tunnels, to forge documents. Most of these plans are fantasies, mental exercises to keep the mind sharp and focused on a goal. But sometimes, men do try. The risks are enormous. If you are caught, the punishment is severe. But the dream of freedom is so powerful that some are willing to risk everything for even the smallest chance. The relationship with the guards is complex. Some are overtly cruel, seeming to take pleasure in their power and the suffering of the prisoners. They will beat a man for a minor infraction or for no reason at all. But others are simply men doing a job, weary of the war themselves, sometimes showing small, unexpected moments of kindness. A guard might look the other way during a minor rule break, or slip a prisoner an extra piece of bread. These small acts of humanity are shocking in their rarity, and are remembered for years. As the days blend into an indistinguishable morass of hunger, boredom, and discomfort, you lose track of who you used to be. The memories of your old life begin to feel like a dream, like something that happened to another person. You are no longer an accountant, a farmer, a student. You are a prisoner. Your existence is defined by the fence, the roll call, the soup, the bunk. The evening brings no relief. After the meager dinner and the evening roll call, you are locked into the barracks for the night. The darkness is absolute. The only sounds are the chorus of coughs, the groans of men shifting on the hard bunks, the occasional nightmare-fueled shout. Sleep is difficult on an empty stomach. You lie awake for hours, your mind racing, replaying the same thoughts, the same worries. You feel the constant itch of the lice, the ache of your empty stomach, the chill seeping through your thin blanket. And so it goes, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. The misery is not in a single dramatic event. It is in the relentless, grinding accumulation of 1,000 small sufferings. It is the sour taste of the bread. It is the constant gnawing hunger. It is the itch of a louse you can't reach. It is the sight of the same barbed wire fence every single morning. It is the loss of your name. It is the slow, steady erosion of your body and your spirit. It is the crushing weight of endless, empty time. It is the quiet, desperate struggle to simply hold on to the person you once were, to survive not just physically, but to survive with your humanity intact, waiting for a day you are no longer sure will ever come. The memory of a real meal becomes a fantasy, a story you tell yourself to fall asleep. You can almost feel the weight of a proper fork in your hand. You can smell the roast beef. You can taste the butter on a piece of soft, white bread. These sensory memories are both a comfort and a torment. They remind you of what you have lost, of the simple pleasures of a life that now seems impossibly luxurious. You watch your friends, the men you share your bunk and your stories with, slowly fade. You see the light go out of their eyes, their bodies wasting away, until they are little more than skeletons covered in skin. And you know that you look the same to them. There's a shared understanding, a silent acknowledgement of the slow decay you are all experiencing together. You learn a new language, the language of the camp. It's a vocabulary of survival, with words for different types of guards, for ways to barter, for the various stages of hunger-induced sickness. This shared language is another part of the strange community you have built, a culture born of shared hardship. The changing of the seasons, which once marked the pleasant passage of time, now brings only different kinds of misery. The autumn rains turn the camp into a quagmire of mud. The winter brings the deep, relentless cold that makes every movement an effort. The spring is a brief, deceptive respite before the sweltering, fly-infested heat of summer arrives to turn the barracks into a suffocating hotbox. Each season presents a new set of challenges to your already strained ability to endure. You mark the passage of time by scratching lines on the wooden wall of your bunk, a primitive calendar that tracks the seemingly infinite procession of days. You forget what it feels like to be clean. You forget what it feels like to be full. You forget what it feels like to walk down a street and choose your own direction. Your world has been reduced to this small, fenced-in patch of earth, and the struggle is to prevent your mind from shrinking along with it. The human spirit, however, is a resilient thing. In the midst of this profound misery, there are flickers of beauty and defiance. A man might carve a tiny, intricate chess set from scraps of wood. Another might use a stolen stub of a pencil and a precious piece of paper to draw a portrait of a friend or a landscape from memory. A hidden makeshift choir might gather in a corner of the barrack to softly sing songs from home, their voices a fragile thread of harmony in a world of discord. These small acts of creation, of art, are not just a way to pass the time. They are a powerful affirmation of life, a way to create order and beauty in the midst of chaos and ugliness. They are a testament to the enduring need of the human soul to express itself, to find meaning even in the most meaningless of circumstances. The end of the day is a mirror image of its beginning. The evening roll call, the ladle of watery soup, the piece of hard bread, then the lockdown. As you lie on your hard bunk in the suffocating darkness of the barrack, you are left alone with your thoughts. This is often the hardest part of the day. There are no distractions, no routines to follow. There is only the darkness, the sounds of the other prisoners, and the relentless loop of your own mind. You think of home, of family, of the life you left behind. You wonder if you will ever see them again, and you pray for sleep, the only temporary escape from the reality of your existence, a small death at the end of each impossibly long day, hoping that tomorrow, perhaps, will bring a change, a rumor, a sign that this long, gray nightmare might finally come to an end.